Alright, so as I'm sure we're all aware, most on-camera monitors cost somewhere between $500 to $1,000. Enter this guy. The Andycine T6 on-camera monitor that costs just a smidge over $100 and yet somehow gives you pretty much almost all the tools that you will need. This isn't the best on-camera monitor that money can buy, but it might just be the smartest move that new filmmakers could make. Let me explain. And just for full transparency and FYI, no money has changed hands, this is not sponsored. Andycine did send out this unit for me to have, to look, to try, to make this video, but they don't get to see the video before it goes out, they don't get to tell me what I need to say, and all the opinions are my own. So keeping that in mind, let's get back into the video. In the box, you get the monitor itself. You get a frame for the sun hood, an HDMI cable, the manual, USB-A to USB-C adapter, an Allen key, and a monitor mount. Okay, so the Andycine T6 can accept up to a 4K 60 signal, although the display itself is actually a 19 by 1080 HD, full HD display. It has an aluminium alloy housing and an ultra-thin design, which is pretty nice. You could fit it in your actual pocket. It has the battery plate ready for the popular Sony F970 batteries. It has DC out, USB-C in. You can load your own 3D LUTs onto the thing so you can get a much better idea of what you're going to get for the final product. In the way of focus and exposure tools, we have waveforms, zebras, histograms, anamorphic mode, embedded audio, image flip, focus peaking, vector scopes, and false colors, all built into the unit. So here it is, the Andycine T6. It is incredibly lightweight, incredibly thin. It is so pocketable, this could be pretty good. Now, it is a 6-inch monitor as opposed to most other ones of the similar size, which are either 5 or like this, the Pyro 5. It's actually a 5.5. And when you put them next to each other, they don't seem actually that much difference in size. In fact, this one seems bigger at first glance. Now, this is because this has more of a border around what is the actual real estate of the screen. If you look at the internal part of this, where the actual line of what the usable real estate of the screen is, compared to this, where the real estate goes right out to this very thin edge, it is actually a little bit bigger. Bigger is better, and especially seeing as this thing is much lighter, this thing is, when you hold them both in your hands like this one, the Andycine T6, does feel a huge amount lighter. Now, as long as it is strong, that is great, because when you're carrying a camera rig around all day, the lighter it is, the better. So points to the Andycine for that. Now, as far as comparing these two and the features, obviously the Pyro 5 has a lot more features, primarily the huge screaming one, the wireless transmission and receiving. Now, if you were to take that away, the feature difference between these two does become significantly smaller. While this one is still nowhere near a match for this one, it is a quarter of the price, and it still offers all of the things that you would need. Essential ones that you definitely will need are zebras. It's got it. Focus peaking. It's got it. And false color, even though not all false color is equal, is kind of essential. So having a bigger screen, and with all these features and the fact that you can put your own LUTs on this thing, is really good. So yeah, a lot of features for the money. And I'll circle back around once more and just point out $100. So I didn't initially have high expectations or expect a lot of features from a $100 on-camera monitor, but surprisingly, this thing for $100 packs a good punch. Now, one thing you need to keep in mind when thinking about which one of these or any other monitor you want to get is something which is a big deal breaker maybe for you, depending on the type of shooting that you are going to do. Now, I originally had an Atmos Ninja which had a brightness of 1000 nits, and that was great. Although sometimes outside you did have to kind of shield it a bit. Now, one of the main reasons that I sold my Atmos Ninja 5 and got this, the Hollyland Pyro 5, was because this is 1500 nits in brightness. And the one thing that lets this down, the Andycine T6, isn't the features, it isn't the build quality, it is the brightness. So it is 1/3 the brightness of this guy. But it is 1/4 of the price at just over $100. So for an indoor monitor, or if you were using it in conditions that weren't super bright sunlight, this could be a good option. But you may have problems with this if you're outside in bright sunlight. Okay, so one important thing and a place where the comparison between these two, the Pyro 5S and the Andycine T6, where the Andycine T6 takes the lead, is something which could be important to you, especially for run and gun solo shooters, is the boot up time. This guy, the Andycine T6, took about 4 to 5 seconds in my very unscientific testing and counting in my head. I'll put up some footage with me maybe doing it with an actual timer, but around 4 to 5 seconds of boot up time for this, which isn't bad. That's about the same as the Atmos Ninja 5. This one, however, my beloved Hollyland Pyro 5S, takes a horrendous about 15 to 16 seconds of time to boot up. Although, in the grand scheme of things, that isn't much time. If you've ever used a Red and they take a horrendous amount of time to start the camera up, this 15 to 16 seconds is 3 times slower than this, the Andycine T6. So if you are a run and gun shooter and you need to be switching things on fast and getting moving fast, this is actually a better option than this. Okay, so another thing where the Andycine T6 beats out the Hollyland Pyro 5 is convenience in the fact of size. This thing is very slim, it's very lightweight and very easy. It's just a regular shape, it's just a regular rectangular camera monitor that you could easily slip into just a very small place in your camera bag and would be easy to take along without having to really rearrange your bag or it be a problem. The Pyro 5, as I said in my last video about this, I love this monitor, it's great, but these aerials kind of get in the way and make it a little bit fiddly. And yes, technically you could keep removing them all the time, but then eventually over like the space of like, I'd say a couple of months, they'd become used and they might not be as useful or work as intended. So this is a much more inconvenient thing to put in your bag and takes up a lot more space, whereas this, almost, you wouldn't even notice it was in there. Okay, there you go, the Andycine T6 on-camera monitor. As I said at the beginning, not the best on-camera monitor that money can buy, but if you are just starting out or a filmmaker that is on a budget, this is a solid option. It is pretty feature-packed and you get a huge feature to price ratio. Definitely worth checking out, and it's great also if you have multiple cameras and you want to have multiple monitors but you don't want to be spending $500 to $1,000 on each one of them. Maybe you're just going to do indoor shooting, and for an interview, maybe for your second camera you want another monitor to monitor that nicely at the same time. This is a great option. Okay, so what do you guys think? Is it worth it? Is it not? For me personally, like I said, the feature to price ratio is fantastic for this, and I think that for a lot of people it will be all that they need. As always, let's start a conversation up in the comments down below. Is it something you buy? Is it something you definitely think is not worth the money? And as always, like I say at the end of every video, if you like these kind of gear reviews, filmmaking tips, filmmaking general stuff, you know where to find me. Couple of buttons down below, like and subscribe, give them a whirl, and until next time guys, peace.